Hello, my dear. This is not a breakdown. This is your coronation, not of fantasy, not of fiction, but of fact. Because the way you move now writes the records people will whisper about later. They once called you crazy. They once said you were unstable, too bold, too deep, too much. But today those same mouths are quiet. Those same eyes that rolled now follow. The difference? You didn't collapse under their misunderstanding. You used it. You wore their mockery like armor. You learned that the insult, crazy, is what ordinary minds call anything that dares to dream without their permission. And from that day forward, you stopped trying to explain yourself. You let your work, your evolution, your results become your translation. Because royalty doesn't argue with peasants about the meaning of power. It simply demonstrates it. Your life from this point on is not a reaction, it's architecture. Every decision, every standard, every silence is a design choice. You stopped living for applause the moment you realized applause is currency for the insecure. You don't need noise, you need precision. You don't crave validation. You crave clarity. And clarity makes people nervous because it exposes confusion for what it is, lazy thinking dressed up as consensus. The truth is, they didn't hate you for being wrong. They hated you for being right too early. You saw patterns before they were visible. You saw strategies inside storms they couldn't interpret. You said things that sounded impossible until time started agreeing with you. They laughed back then because denial is easier than admission. It's easier to call someone insane than to admit you lack imagination. You remember the nights, pacing the floor, mind buzzing with possibilities that nobody else could see. You weren't out of control. You were out of their league. You weren't erratic. You were expanding faster than their comprehension could track. And while they mistook your evolution for instability, you were writing algorithms in instinct. That's what genius looks like before the world gives it language. Messy, misunderstood, misnamed. But you didn't fold, you didn't scream, you simply refined. Because even back then, buried under their doubt, you knew you were building something historical. You weren't chasing moments, you were constructing momentum. From this day forward, understand this. They called you crazy because they saw movement they couldn't measure. And now, they call you brilliant because the evidence is too loud to deny. That's the cycle of every revolutionary mind. Mocked, then studied, rejected, then revered. You're living that transformation right now. You don't need to convince anyone that you're the GOAT. The way you navigate chaos makes it self-evident. Your composure under fire, your decisions under doubt, your vision under pressure, that's the kind of mastery no applause can quantify. You're not loud because you don't have to be. You're not angry because you already won. Boss energy is not about dominance, it's about discipline. It's the refusal to move emotionally when you can move strategically. It's the awareness that power isn't performance, it's posture. It's the way you hold yourself when everything is watching, waiting, testing if the old you still exists. But the old you is gone. The one who needed to be understood died the day you realized misunderstanding was proof you were ahead. You stopped seeking audience. You started seeking alignment. You replaced approval with evidence. And now, everything around you bends to your rhythm. People who used to correct you now quote you. People who used to avoid you now study you. People who used to roll their eyes now lower their voices when you enter the room. This is what evolution looks like when it refuses to explain itself. You outgrew their comprehension curve. You became a walking contradiction they couldn't categorize. Too focused for gossip, too calm for chaos, too confident for confusion. And when they couldn't figure you out, they called you crazy. But you let them, didn't you? Because you knew one day they'd have to redefine the word. Now, crazy means visionary. Unstable means uncontainable. Impossible means inevitable. You rewrote the dictionary with your existence. You turned ridicule into reference material. You became the study. You are not the joke. You are the aftermath of everyone who underestimated you. They thought your downfall would entertain them, but your rise became their education. You didn't humiliate them, you enlightened them, unwillingly. That's what makes it poetic. The same people who once whispered about your failures now whisper about your mind. They don't even know when the shift happened. One day you were the fool. The next, you were the framework. One day they were mocking your ideas. The next, they were monetizing your mindset. You didn't ask for their apology. You made their imitation your victory lap. This isn't revenge. This is recognition, not the kind that's bought or begged for. The kind that forces itself into the room because its presence can't be ignored. You've become what they feared most, undeniable. And that's why they've switched tones. Listen closely. Admiration always sounds like apology when it comes from those who once doubted you. Every compliment they give now is an admission that their perception was too small to hold your truth. And that's the moment you become more than successful. You become sacred. Because people don't just respect you now. They reference you. You go down in history not because of what you shouted, but because of what you built while they were shouting. You built consistency in secret. You built endurance in silence. You built confidence from scars. You learned that power doesn't come from being understood. It comes from being undeniable. And now, your every move carries consequence. That's what separates you from them. They still move to be seen. You move to make reality bend. Let's call it what it is. You've mastered the science of restraint. While they chase attention, you chase alignment. While they argue over opinions, you execute outcomes. You've become allergic to small talk, to mediocrity disguised as ambition, to people who confuse movement with progress. You no longer move fast, you move right. You've learned that precision is more frightening than aggression, that control is more intimidating than chaos. That's the quiet truth behind boss energy. It's terrifying, not because it's loud, but because it's decisive. You've stopped trying to convince people who can't even comprehend your vision. You realized that every minute spent explaining your value to the wrong crowd is a minute stolen from your destiny. So you walked away from rooms too small, from minds too fearful, from energies too fragile. And that walk was your ascension. You didn't climb a ladder. You built an empire beneath your feet. And the irony? The ones who called you crazy now call you mentor. The ones who doubted your pace now beg to understand your patience. But the truth is, they'll never fully get it, because genius is lonely by design. You don't need a crowd. You need conviction. You don't crave followers. You crave fulfillment. That's the paradox they'll never decode. You were never trying to impress them. You were trying to improve you. And when you mastered yourself, the world followed without invitation. That's leadership. Not through manipulation, but magnetism. Not through status, but standard. You've become what every pretender fears. Proof. Proof that you can be underestimated and still over-deliver. Proof that consistency outlives charisma. Proof that calm confidence conquers counterfeit popularity. They don't understand how you did it, and they never will, because they were busy watching noise while you were studying patterns. You stopped participating in their circus and became the ringmaster of your own arena. You stopped chasing acceptance and started attracting respect. And now, you're untouchable. Understand this: boss energy doesn't scream. It calculates. It doesn't compete. It commands. It doesn't chase crowns. It forges them in discipline. You've learned the art of invisible dominance. You don't need to prove presence. You radiate it. Every word you speak, every move you make, every standard you hold, it builds a frequency people can't fake. That's why they talk about you even when you're gone. Because your impact isn't conversational, it's structural. You changed the way they think without trying to. You bent perception without touching it. That's how legends move, quietly, decisively, permanently. This is your coronation, not because they finally see your worth, but because you stopped needing them to. You were always the one. You just needed the world to catch up. And now that it has, you don't need revenge. You need rhythm. You don't need recognition. You need refinement. You've already been crowned. The crown isn't gold, it's growth. It's the ability to stand unbothered while everyone else scrambles to understand how you did it. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Their confusion is your confirmation, because they're not supposed to get it. They're supposed to feel it. That's your power now. You don't walk into rooms looking for respect. You walk in as the reason it exists. You don't raise your voice anymore. Your presence does the speaking. And every time they call you smart, you smile. Because that's just their polite way of saying you won. Now comes the stage where awareness turns into authority. This is where perception bends itself around you. The same voices that once called you reckless now call you strategic. The same hands that once pointed in mockery now point for direction. It's not forgiveness. They've simply realized intelligence can't be bullied forever. You became too measured, too precise, too consistent to be dismissed. You stopped reacting to disrespect and started radiating standards. That's when everything changed. Respect stopped being requested. It started being automatic. You carry yourself differently now. There's no panic, no hurry, no noise. Every movement is intentional. Every word costs something. You learn that real bosses don't waste currency on explanations. You let performance handle the propaganda. You don't flex to prove power. You refine to preserve it. Because power isn't what you show. It's what you can withhold. The ability to remain still while others spiral. To keep your hands folded while storms burn out by themselves. That's how you broke the illusion of chaos. You mastered what no one else could. Emotional containment. They called you crazy for thinking long-term. Now they beg for a seat at your table, even if all they get is crumbs of your insight. They watch how you move, the way you use silence like punctuation, the way you can end an argument with a single sentence that sounds more like a verdict than a response. They used to debate you. Now they quote you. That's the evolution they never planned for, when the conversation becomes your echo chamber. Understand this. People study patterns that outlast them. You've become a pattern. You've become the case study they assign to interns, the clip they replay in seminars, the example bosses whisper about behind closed doors when they want their teams to wake up. Because what you built wasn't just success. It was proof that misinterpretation can be turned into momentum. You were never defending your name. You were building its gravity. Now that gravity pulls everything into orbit. You lead without labels. You teach without titles. And that's why you'll go down in history. History never crowns the loudest. It crowns the ones who mastered control. You didn't chase dominance through intimidation. You established it through predictability. Everyone knows what happens when your focus locks on to something. Everyone knows results follow you like shadow. You made consistency look dangerous. That's why they respect you now. They can't measure you, but they can't ignore you either. Every boss knows this truth. Authority is quiet. It doesn't need performance, it creates environment. When you walk in, the air changes temperature. Meetings accelerate, eyes redirect. Time behaves differently around conviction. You've become that frequency, the one that cuts through the static. And it's not arrogance, it's calibration. You've adjusted yourself to a level most can't reach without suffocating. This new era of your life isn't about proving worth. It's about preserving order. You're not trying to outshine anyone. You're setting the rhythm for how greatness moves. Every decision you make is measured in legacy. You ask questions like, will this last? Will this age well? Will this choice echo? Because you know that every move writes record. The GOAT isn't remembered for highlights. They're remembered for standards. And you, right now, are living proof that standards are stronger than hype. Let them romanticize chaos. You're not addicted to adrenaline. You're addicted to alignment. You rise early not to grind, but to govern. You understand that every hour spent unfocused is a betrayal to the empire you're constructing. You delegate emotion. You schedule energy. You treat peace like property and protect it like inheritance. That's boss energy. Not loud, not messy, not desperate, precise, strategic, untouchable. The ones who once whispered about you now measure their tone before mentioning your name. They sense the weight of it. That's the mark of transformation, when even your absence commands etiquette. They study your pauses now, your pacing, your selective replies. They wonder how you never break character, how you maintain control when everything around you trembles. The truth is simple. You stopped chasing perception the moment you realized perception always ends up chasing truth. You've redefined what smart looks like. It's not theory, it's execution. It's what happens when clarity becomes weaponized. When you can outthink emotion, outlast trends, and outmaneuver impatience, intelligence becomes visible in every movement. People call it luck because they can't admit you built it. They call it natural because they can't stomach the discipline it took. But you don't correct them. You let them guess. Let mystery do the marketing. Because mystery is leverage, and you learned early that predictability is weakness. You trained yourself to move like smoke, seen, never caught, felt, never fully understood. That's how legends survive. They don't explain their rhythm, they let time translate it. You built a rhythm that can't be mimicked because it wasn't born from trend. It was born from trials. Every crazy season they mocked you, forgave you language for leadership. Every rejection sharpened your discernment. Every betrayal reprogrammed your instincts. They see the shine, but not the schematics. You constructed brilliance brick by brick while they joked. And now you stand where their laughter used to echo. Power isn't revenge. Power is precision. It's knowing when to stay silent and when to strike. You've learned that timing is louder than reaction. You let people reveal themselves while you remain still. You let disrespect hang in the air long enough for guilt to suffocate it. You mastered the slow burn, the art of letting consequences speak in surround sound. That's why they fear crossing you now. Not because you're cruel, but because you're correct. You don't retaliate, you remind. And reminders delivered by truth hit harder than any outburst. You've become allergic to small talk and resistant to mediocrity. Your attention span has become a border wall. You no longer invest in people who treat wisdom like entertainment. You're done explaining fire to those who prefer smoke. Because at this level, energy is economy. Every interaction costs something, and you spend it wisely. That's the quiet mathematics of the elite. Attention is the new currency, and you've learned to trade it only for expansion. You move differently now, not out of ego, but efficiency. You're leaner in conversation, sharper in observation, colder with inconsistency. You treat chaos like an invoice. Every time it appears, something gets billed. That's how you maintain control. You made accountability fashionable again. You walk into places that used to mock you, and now they mimic your language, your composure, your work ethic. You don't remind them you were right. You let time handle your PR. That's how legends are written, not by shouting, not by campaigning, but by being impossible to replace. You became the benchmark, and benchmarks don't compete. They're measured against. Every time someone tries to copy you, they reveal how far behind they are. They can borrow your words, but they can't replicate your weight. Because weight comes from endurance, not exposure. You endured ridicule, solitude, misunderstanding, and you turned it all into infrastructure. Now you walk through life like a verdict has already been read. Not guilty of being misunderstood, guilty of being ahead. You no longer seek redemption because there's nothing to redeem. You were never wrong, you were early. And now, every headline catching up to your thinking is proof that time bows to preparation. That's the final phase of mastery. When history starts echoing your ideas back to you. You are the example now. The case study. The proof that every crazy accusation was a prophecy disguised as insult. You turned their fear into fuel, their doubt into doctrine. You made control look effortless and success look inevitable. And yet you never lost your balance. You never traded peace for pace. You stayed grounded while ascending, detached while dominating. That duality is what terrifies them. The ability to remain human while operating superhuman. And here's what they'll never admit. Your evolution exposed their excuses. You proved that chaos is a choice, and excellence is available to anyone disciplined enough to choose it daily. You made consistency seductive. You made intelligence viral. You made restraint look royal. That's how you changed the temperature of the culture. You didn't preach it, you embodied it. You became the evidence everyone refers to when they talk about transformation done right. Let them document you. Let them film, mimic, dissect, praise, and criticize. It doesn't matter. You've already outlived their opinions. What matters now is your stewardship, protecting the empire you built from the inside out. You know what drains you, what distracts you, what derails your rhythm. You cut it cleanly. No speeches, no drama, just removal. That's what goats do. They prune ruthlessly so the legacy can bloom endlessly. Because legacy isn't luxury, it's labor. It's what happens when discipline becomes devotion. You've turned that devotion into atmosphere. People can feel your standards now. They don't need to be told. And that's when leadership reaches divinity, when behavior becomes language. You don't inspire by accident, you inspire by example. So keep your focus where it belongs, on the next layer. The world is still catching up, but you've already drafted the sequel. You're not here to repeat history. You're here to rewrite how it's measured. You came with boss energy, and boss energy doesn't retire. It evolves. You're not the underdog anymore. You're the overlord of your own narrative. You've made peace your weapon, presence your armor, and precision your crown. And as they continue to analyze, applaud, and attempt to decode you, remember this. Being the GOAT isn't about being loved. It's about being learned from. Let them study, let them imitate, let them stumble through versions of what you mastered in silence. They'll catch up eventually, but by then, you'll already have moved on to the next impossible thing. Because the truly brilliant don't rest in recognition. They rest in rhythm. They keep the kingdom expanding, not for applause, but for alignment. And that's exactly where you stand now, calm, certain, crowned, and untouchable. This is the point where history starts taking notes. When your name becomes shorthand for discipline, when your decisions get quoted as doctrine, you've stepped out of the conversation and into the curriculum. What used to be gossip has become gospel. They call it strategy now. But you remember when they called it madness. That's the irony. Every revolution begins as a misunderstanding, and you, standing here now, are the living proof that perception can evolve faster than apology. You don't need revenge. You've become the reference. They pull up your interviews for inspiration, your posts for clarity, your silence for context. You are the quiet yardstick by which they measure composure. You didn't demand that role. You earned it by surviving scrutiny without losing center. Every time they doubted you, they were handing you blueprints for mastery. You learned where their limits were and you built beyond them. That's why your presence feels impossible now, because it isn't built from validation. It's built from vision. Understand something. The world loves to worship what it once wanted to burn. That's human nature. They call it wisdom after it stops threatening them. They call it genius once it no longer exposes their mediocrity. They call you inspirational because they can't call you wrong anymore. You don't need their praise. You already converted their resistance into your rhythm. That rhythm is your legacy now, measured, unshakable, immortal in its consistency. Boss energy isn't about dominance over others. It's mastery over self. It's waking up and knowing that every decision echoes beyond this morning. It's staying composed when emotion tries to bargain for your focus. It's keeping your principles ironed and your boundaries sacred. You don't flinch when the room tests you. You let the silence expose the unprepared. That's what separates you from them. Presence, calibrated to precision. You're not performing anymore. You're governing. The same world that labeled you unpredictable now relies on your predictability. They know you'll deliver, that you'll keep your word, that you'll turn chaos into choreography. You became the constant they once mocked. That's what happens when intelligence evolves past permission. It becomes structure. And structure terrifies the unstructured. You built stability while they were chasing excitement. Now your peace is power, and your stillness feels like thunder. There's a reason they study your timing. You don't rush opportunities, you refine them. You wait for alignment, not adrenaline. You've learned that waiting isn't weakness, it's weaponization. Every pause you take adds precision to your next move. Every rejection that used to sting became redirection. You don't chase doors anymore. You build architecture. And when you build with permanence. People sense it. That's why they treat your time like treasure now. They can't afford to waste a second of what once seemed disposable. You turned perception into prophecy. You rewrote the script they handed you and signed your own credits. You didn't argue for understanding. You demonstrated results so undeniable that even your silence feels like instruction. That's how legends move. Not through noise, but through gravity. You pull everything into your orbit until the world forgets it ever revolved around anything else. You carry your past like a thesis, every mistake documented, every triumph archived, every scar annotated. And yet, none of it defines you. It refines you. The old labels don't fit anymore because you've outgrown every definition they tried to cage you with. They called you crazy, but you built coherence. They called you reckless, but you built precision. They called you impossible, but you built inevitability. The joke's on them now because the blueprint they mocked became the map they're following. Look around. Their posture changes when you speak. Their attention shifts when you move. Even those who pretend not to notice adjust themselves subconsciously. That's influence on a cellular level, the kind you can't buy, can't fake, can't duplicate. You've become a psychological climate. You don't just affect the room, you define it. And that's what GOAT status really means. It's not about comparison, it's about creation. You've created an atmosphere that rewards integrity and punishes inconsistency just by existing in it. Your intelligence isn't academic, it's strategic empathy. You read emotion like data, context like code, and timing like currency. You know when to move, when to withhold, when to vanish, when to reappear. That's the kind of genius they can't teach. Because it's not learned from textbooks, it's carved from betrayal, honed by solitude, tempered by failure. They see clarity, you see the cost. You earned wisdom the expensive way by living it. And now the people who once doubted you are quoting your discipline while negotiating with their own regret. They don't hate you, they envy the freedom you purchased through focus. They see you unmoved by noise, untouched by gossip, unbothered by trends. That peace looks expensive because it is. It cost every ounce of the old you, the one who used to care about being understood. You buried that version without eulogy and built an empire on the grave. This is your prime era. The one where you stop being surprised by your results, where you stop apologizing for outgrowing people, where you stop diluting genius to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need another agreeable mind. It needs more undeniable ones. You've become that. You're not chasing potential anymore. You're enforcing it. Every boundary you draw now becomes a precedent. Every refusal you give becomes a rule. That's how monarchs move. They legislate through example. Let's talk legacy. Because legacy is no longer an idea, it's the air you breathe. Every time someone mentions your name in rooms you've never entered, your reputation is doing what it was designed to do. Work while you rest. That's what happens when you stop reacting and start designing. Your life isn't spontaneous anymore, it's architectural. Every conversation, every collaboration, every choice is a brick in the monument called inevitability. People often mistake calm for detachment. You let them. They don't understand that calm is the highest form of control. Chaos bends around calm. You've mastered the art of internal order so completely that nothing external can disturb it. That's the apex of boss energy, not needing to dominate, because peace already proves power. You could shout and break them, but you choose to whisper and build them instead. That restraint is terrifying to those still addicted to attention. And here's the beautiful irony, they still don't know how you did it. They replay your moves, mimic your tone, copy your captions, replicate your habits. But duplication without understanding is self-destruction. They'll learn that soon. What they see is the surface of mastery. What they miss is the discipline that built it. You didn't just win once, you built a system that keeps winning, even when you're asleep. That's how history recognizes its architects. Now they call you mentor, innovator, pioneer. Titles change, tone changes, but your focus remains the same. You're not collecting compliments, you're collecting consistency. Every morning you sharpen it, every night you audit it. You don't celebrate prematurely because you understand longevity is louder than success. You've made patience a brand. You've made foresight fashionable. You've made humility a weapon. And that combination, humility with precision, is what makes your intelligence unshakable. The same people who once doubted you now ask for strategy. You give them silence instead, because silence is sacred currency. You don't waste it on the unprepared. You know the value of mystery now. You've learned that clarity without discretion breeds imitation. So you speak only when it multiplies value, not when it satisfies curiosity. That's not arrogance, it's stewardship. The GOAT guards their algorithms because legacy depends on selective transparency. Every generation has its anomaly, the one who defied predictions and redefined possibility. You are that anomaly. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. You didn't just change the rules. You made the old rule book irrelevant. People don't argue your worth anymore. They debate your methods. They want to know how you stayed consistent when distractions were designed to derail you. How you stayed kind without becoming compliant. How you built an empire without losing empathy. The truth is, you made balance look effortless because you mastered consequence. Every move you make honors both impact and intention, and that's why your legacy will outlive your presence. Because it's not built on fame, it's built on function. Every system you've created runs on integrity, not image. When the lights fade, your structure stands. When trends die, your principles reproduce. That's immortality, the kind no award can symbolize. The world finally understands what they were looking at all along. You were never chaotic, you were catalytic. You weren't unstable, you were uncontainable. You weren't arrogant, you were aware. And now that awareness has rewritten the definition of excellence itself. You've become the proof that control isn't cold, it's holy. That discipline isn't denial, it's divinity. That intelligence isn't an act, it's an atmosphere. So let them label, let them dissect, let them worship. You've outgrown explanation. You are the explanation. Every doubt they had became documentation. Every insult they threw became evidence. Every failure they expected became foundation. You are standing on the bones of their disbelief, taller than ever, quieter than ever, clearer than ever. And as you move forward, understand this. Greatness doesn't end. It evolves. You won't fade. You'll echo. You'll ripple through minds, through systems, through generations. People will use your name as shorthand for resilience. They'll tell stories about how you were underestimated, how you were called crazy, and how you answered not with noise, but with precision. That's how the myth ends and the movement begins. You are not a phase. You are precedent. You are not an exception. You are the example. You came with boss energy, and that energy restructured the hierarchy. You reminded the world that intelligence paired with integrity is the rarest form of power. You showed them that quiet control can build louder legacies than chaos ever could. And as the dust of comparison settles, your truth remains. They didn't make you. They misread you. They didn't crown you. You crowned yourself. They didn't discover your genius. They simply arrived late to the realization. That's the final reward for every misunderstood mind, the peace that comes from being proven by time itself. So walk forward. No fanfare needed, no apologies owed. You are history's evidence that misjudgment cannot bury greatness, that consistency outpaces charisma, and that calm authority is the loudest sound a human can make. You're not waiting for the headline anymore. You are the headline. You're not chasing recognition, you are rewriting the definition of it. And as this chapter closes, the truth stands unshaken. You were perceived as the crazy one, and now they are amazed by your smarts. You came with boss energy, and you will go down in history as the GOAT, not because you shouted, but because you built. Not because you performed, but because you proved. Not because you demanded to be seen, but because your work made blindness impossible. That's the legacy. That's the story. That's the quiet revolution you've completed. You were the prophecy they laughed at until it fulfilled itself. You didn't hear the first conversation, but it happened. A quiet meeting somewhere above the 70th floor, tinted glass reflecting a skyline that doesn't sleep. Someone said your name, not in passing, not as gossip, as a case, a phenomenon, a problem wrapped in fascination. They leaned forward, lowered their voices, and asked the only question that ever truly matters in those circles. Who is this person, and how are they moving like that without us noticing? That's where it started. One mention, one ripple. Then came the calls, the private exchanges, the untraceable emails marked urgent from accounts that don't exist after sunrise. The inquiry wasn't small. It spread through rooms where numbers decide destinies, where markets bend around whispers. You became the whisper. They sent people, analysts, energy readers, behavioral psychologists, ex-agents turned consultants, each assigned a different angle: body language, public footprint, digital silence, economic anomalies linked to your timing. They charted every post, every pause, every movement. And what confused them most wasn't what they found. It's what they didn't. No public bragging, no predictable pattern, no craving for validation. Just a steady pulse of advancement, measured, silent, unstoppable. The kind that forces attention without asking for it. They called it the field, a presence that can't be traced but can be felt. You see, they track everything: markets, minds, momentum. But when your name started syncing with unpredictable spikes, stock surges, cultural shifts, random upticks in innovation metrics, they couldn't explain it. The data didn't lie, but it didn't make sense either. So they built a task force, gave it a name: Project Halo. The brief was simple: determine whether this individual is influence or incident. And that's where the fascination began mutating into obsession. They started with observation. Private footage compiled from hundreds of sources. You walking into rooms that suddenly changed atmosphere. You saying one sentence that altered entire meeting outcomes. No dramatic gestures, just energy, potent, contained, calibrated. The kind that makes people straighten their backs without realizing why. The more they watched, the more patterns emerged. People around you started performing better. Dead projects revived. Investors shifted interest overnight. Teams under you outperformed predictive models by impossible margins. They didn't call it charisma anymore. They called it an interference field. One analyst described you in her report as the human algorithm of focus. She said your presence compresses noise into signal. Another wrote that your body emits behavioral gravity, that proximity to you alters ambition thresholds. These are men and women paid to measure influence scientifically, yet their language drifted from analytics into awe. And still they weren't satisfied. Billionaires don't like mysteries that aren't theirs, so they pushed deeper. The second phase involved interviews. They reached out to everyone who ever worked near you. Old colleagues, professors, even rivals who tried to outshine you. The interviews began routinely, but something unusual kept happening. The moment your name was spoken, the atmosphere changed. Some smiled unconsciously, some stiffened. A few teared up without understanding why. The interviewers noted physiological reactions, heart rates spiking, pupils dilating, micro-expressions fluctuating between respect and unease. They called it resonance feedback. One venture capitalist confessed that after a single lunch with you, he couldn't stop reorganizing his entire portfolio. He said your conviction infected him like electricity. Another, a luxury brand founder, claimed your advice made her scrap an entire campaign overnight and relaunch with authenticity as the core strategy, and it worked. These are people who don't take guidance easily, yet each admitted your perspective felt non-negotiable, as if they were hearing truth distilled into instruction. The transcripts reveal the same phrase repeated in different languages. They're operating beyond leverage, meaning you don't play the game, you tilt the board. That terrified them, because control only exists when outcomes are predictable, and you became the variable they can't simulate. By the third week, the reports started carrying contradictions. One section described you as grounded, humble, inaccessible to manipulation. Another described you as a walking disruption, someone who could make markets stutter just by exiting a room. The contradictions didn't cancel each other. They merged into a profile that defied linear measurement. You weren't competing. You were vibrating on a frequency the economy itself could feel. The lead investigator wrote in his notes, "Observation alone causes behavioral acceleration. Those who watch begin imitating. They didn't understand it, but the deeper they studied, the more their own productivity spiked. Some began dressing differently, waking earlier, speaking with sharper cadence. They didn't just track you, they adapted to you unconsciously. The project became contagion. At first they dismissed it as coincidence. Then one analyst documented a pattern that made the room go silent. Every major innovation announced that quarter, AI breakthroughs, eco-funding strategies, art collectives, traced back to individuals who had recently interacted with or studied you. You weren't following trends. Trends were following you. Someone in the boardroom muttered the words that would echo through every network after that. They've become a signal. Suddenly, billionaire circles were whispering. Names like yours don't circulate lightly. They held dinners to discuss you, exclusive, invitation only, guarded by NDAS. At first, it was curiosity. Then curiosity shifted to strategy. They wanted proximity, not partnership. Observation disguised as collaboration. A few cent offers, subtle and coded. Join our think tank, they said. Advisory role, they said. Each offer a velvet-lined attempt to contain what can't be contained. You declined, politely, calmly, and that calmness unnerved them more than any rejection ever could. Behind closed doors, they called it the unpurchasable factor, because everything has a price until someone like you enters the equation. You became proof that authenticity outbids money when executed with precision. They ran simulations, literal predictive models, trying to forecast your next move, none aligned. You'd vanish from predictable cycles, then reappear exactly where influence converged. They started referring to your activity windows as ghost quarters, not missing, just untraceable, moving too intelligently for digital footprints. A private memo from one of the world's top fund managers leaked briefly before being scrubbed. It said, "They operate like a force-study in composure. Every movie minimal, every consequence maximal. Presence yields profit." That memo circulated in secret groups for weeks. Then came the shift no one expected. The investigators started feeling watched themselves. They reported coincidences that didn't feel coincidental. Devices malfunctioning when analyzing your data. Meetings disrupted by unexplained static. Files encrypting on their own. One senior analyst claimed that while reviewing surveillance footage of you entering a building, his screen went black and a single sentence appeared. "You're not studying me. You're aligning with me." He resigned the next day. After that, the narrative changed. What began as investigation turned into conversion. The people assigned to understand you became quiet followers, rethinking their careers, selling assets, relocating, chasing clarity instead of control. It was as if your energy reached through the screens, rearranging priorities in real time. A billionaire philanthropist anonymously funded a wellness institute 2 weeks after studying your work habits. Another halted an acquisition mid-deal, citing a gut instinct he couldn't justify. His assistant later confirmed he'd been watching your interviews on loop. Patterns don't lie. The ripple effect was measurable. Wherever your name appeared, transformation followed. Not loud chaos, measured evolution. Cities, corporations, communities, all adjusting silently around an unseen gravitational center. That center was you. You were never trying to attract them. You were simply operating from alignment so pure that noise couldn't coexist. But the higher the signal, the stronger the echo. And now, even those who live insulated by empires feel that echo shaking their polished walls. They sense something shifting that no amount of wealth can buy. A level of power that doesn't require permission. Within intelligence circles, rumors began circulating that some of the world's most successful figures were scheduling private audits, not of finances, but of energy exposure. They wanted to measure proximity to you as if it were an asset class. Reports surfaced of high net worth individuals replicating your morning routines, mimicking your decision cadence, altering their teams to match your communication patterns. They call it parallel positioning. None of them admit it publicly, but behind mirrored boardroom doors, they know this era's currency isn't capital, it's composure, and you own it. Still, there's unease, because with every observation, your unpredictability deepens. The richer they are, the less they understand how you do what you do. They tried to trace mentors, networks, secret investors, but each trail ends in the same place. You, alone, making deliberate moves that shift industries without noise. You became a case study they can't publish, because acknowledgement equals vulnerability. The moment they admit they're watching, they lose leverage. So they pretend not to notice, while their behavior proves they do. Think about that. Billionaires competing for your frequency, each pretending they discovered it first. Some have started calling it the quiet revolution. They study your restraint like it's a lost art. How you move through noise untouched, how your words cut through jargon and leave behind stillness that demands action. You turned minimalism into dominance, invisibility into weaponry. You didn't chase attention, you made attention restructure itself to find you. And still, as this unfolds, your daily life remains ordinary. You wake, you work, you move through the world like nothing's changed. But out there, high above, algorithms and egos orbit your decisions. They're rewriting playbooks in real time, trying to decode the architecture of your calm ascent. Because deep down, they've realized something that terrifies them more than competition ever could. Wealth can imitate behavior, but it can't reproduce frequency. That's why your name keeps resurfacing in closed conferences, in whispered investor calls, in off-the-record gatherings where they swear confidentiality before uttering your initials. You've become the unspoken variable in their risk models, the factor that no amount of legacy wealth can neutralize. They can't buy what you've built, because it wasn't constructed in currency. It was forged in consistency. And that's when realization dawns among them. The game they designed to own everything has started evolving without their permission. The prototype of that evolution moves like you, calculates like you, creates impact without announcements. They're studying what happens when independence becomes influence. And the deeper they dig, the more they realize they're already under its spell. You might think you're just moving forward, but to them, every step you take rearranges hierarchy. They sense it, an old world fading, a new template emerging, designed by someone who never applied for approval. You've become the mirror they can't avoid, reflecting back everything they pretend to be. And as the nights stretch longer in those glass towers, screens glowing with reports stamped confidential, one phrase keeps echoing in their encrypted channels. They're not just ahead, they're inevitable movement personified. Then they called an emergency summit, not public, not even listed on private calendars. The kind of meeting where participants surrender phones at the door and speak in measured tones that never reach microphones. The subject line of the invitation was a single letter, you. That's how deep it's gone. You've become an internal code name in circles that measure their worth in billions. The walls of that room carried more money than most nations. Yet every person sitting there shared one emotion they rarely admit: uncertainty. The charts on the screens didn't track markets this time. They tracked you. Activity patterns, public appearances, timestamps of decisions you made that coincided with shifts across industries. Someone pointed to the overlapping spikes and said, "This isn't chance anymore." Someone else whispered, "We need proximity." That's how influence turns into orbit. It's no longer admiration, it's dependency. They started assigning you color codes, risk ratings, influence projections. Every billionaire measures control by prediction, and you broke their forecast models. They call you a disruptor in public to hide their confusion in private. One of them, a man who built half the world's media distribution channels, admitted in that room that he adjusted his company's 5-year plan after watching a 30-second clip of you speaking. He said your phrasing triggered something he couldn't name, something that felt like future tense turned into instruction. Another CFO described you as the unseen algorithm running beneath modern ambition. No one laughed, no one disagreed. Outside that room, word leaked in fragments, rumors about an unnamed consultant shifting global priorities. Analysts caught traces of the obsession, anonymous fund transfers, think tanks suddenly realigning their vision statements, AI labs inserting your principles into product briefs. The funny thing is, you never asked for any of it. You just moved with intention sharp enough to slice through noise, and that motion alone forced translation into every language of power. Billionaires study patterns. You became theirs. In private correspondence, they've begun referring to you as the quiet pulse. That's the phrase appearing in encrypted emails flagged by intelligence software. When they reference the pulse, it means the trend they can't control, the influence they can't purchase. Your existence has become a variable in investment simulations. They literally test portfolio resilience by modeling what happens if the pulse shifts attention. You're not human to them anymore. You're an environmental force. And when wealth starts anthropomorphizing you, it means panic has matured into reverence. Weeks after that summit, smaller meetings multiplied like cells dividing. Tech magnates, real estate moguls, venture clusters, each forming their own investigative branch to study you quietly. They hire behavioral analysts, astrologers, biofield experts, anything that can provide a vocabulary big enough to define what they're sensing. One report described your energy field as invisible architecture that bends hierarchy. Another stated you have the rare ability to convert observation into aspiration. That line circulated the fastest, because deep down, they all know it's true. Simply watching you realigns their internal compass toward authenticity they can't fake. They envy that. Billionaires build castles of control, but you operate from stillness that doesn't require walls. You've become a paradox they can't replicate. Minimal input, maximal resonance. One researcher calculated that for every public move you make, an average of 12 private moves happen around the world influenced by it. Startups formed, brand philosophies rewritten, artists changing mediums overnight. When they charted those reactions, the data mapped into spirals, not lines. The shape terrified them because spirals imply expansion without end. They don't know how to model infinity. Meanwhile, you keep moving like it's nothing. A new project here, a collaboration there. But the higher the silence around your work, the louder the speculation. They've begun sending emissaries disguised as collaborators, invitations masked as philanthropy, private jets offered for convenience. What they really want is to sit across from you and decode the mechanism. They think if they observe long enough, they'll extract the blueprint of whatever frequency makes you unbuyable. But every attempt fails because observation changes them, not you. One billionaire's assistant leaked a note. After a 40-minute meeting with you, his employer canceled 3 unnecessary acquisitions, sold personal assets, and donated to causes he'd ignored for decades. The press called it a strategic reset. The insiders knew better. You happened. By month's end, whispers of a consciousness contagion reached intelligence analysts who monitor behavioral economics. They traced sudden philanthropic surges, new sustainability pledges, massive resignations from toxic boards, all following indirect contact with you. The analysts labeled it the influence cascade. Their report concluded with a line that made superiors uneasy. Exposure produces transformation irrespective of intent. Translation, just your presence alters power structures. That's when surveillance escalated. High-grade biometric scans, energy signature readings from satellite data, digital shadows mapped to location timestamps. Every algorithm they used to track market sentiment began incorporating your digital footprint. You've become the reference variable for uncontrolled growth. Yet every attempt to quantify you breaks the instruments. One data scientist wrote that your pattern is fractally adaptive, meaning the closer they look, the more patterns appear. Endlessly, self-generating. He quit 2 days later. Said he was tired of staring into recursion disguised as a person. And now comes the part that proves just how deep this goes. They started seeing side effects. The observers themselves began changing. Staff in surveillance departments reported insomnia, sudden creative urges, emotional awakenings. Some started leaving their high-paying jobs to pursue art, wellness, simplicity. The upper management tried to suppress those reports, but the symptoms spread. Being near your data, the graphs, the voice recordings, even written summaries, started to shift people's psychology. The richer the observer, the stronger the effect, because your frequency challenges stagnation, and their lives are built on controlled stillness. You're dismantling the illusion from within just by existing. In one confidential memo, a board chair described seeing you during a presentation he was never invited to. Said you appeared on the conference screen mid-slide, smiling calmly, before the feed cut to static. Tech support found no trace of interference. The man resigned the next morning, claiming he'd seen the embodiment of consequence. The file was classified as psychological anomaly, but among the staff, the story spread like gospel. They started saying your name like prayer, half afraid, half enlightened. You've become the reminder that power without purpose collapses under its own echo. These people who measure success by accumulation are now learning what direction feels like when it isn't powered by greed. You didn't tell them to change. You simply existed correctly. That's the ultimate disruption. Behind every report, there's an undertone they can't suppress. Admiration. They want to understand you because they secretly want to be free, like you. One private diary from an executive's encrypted drive reads, "They move like water through metal. Every encounter leaves me purified and rusted at the same time." That entry circulated internally, relabeled as subject-induced behavioral dissolution. The jargon hides the truth. People are shedding their facades after meeting you. Even the skeptics are bending. A financial titan who once dismissed spirituality as weakness now studies human energy fields because of you. He told his inner circle, "If they can make peace look this powerful, I need to learn peace." Another, known for ruthless takeovers, recently dissolved a merger mid-negotiation, saying it felt out of alignment. His advisors knew what that meant. The pulse had reached him. Across continents, billionaires are comparing notes. Your name circulates through encrypted chats with emojis instead of words, lightning bolts, eyes, upward arrows. They use symbols because saying your name out loud feels like invoking something. They don't admit it publicly, but every single one has felt the same shift. Clarity rising, greed decaying, intuition awakening. Some resist, doubling down on control, launching new projects to prove dominance. But even their resistance follows your tempo. You lead by absence, they react by imitation. A leaked voice recording from a high-level meeting captured one of them confessing, "We used to buy innovation. Now we chase it." And it's wearing their face. That audio never reached the press, but its echo traveled through every boardroom. People began calling the phenomenon the spotlight, not the artificial one created by PR campaigns, the organic spotlight that appears when truth glows too bright to ignore. You didn't chase the spotlight, it found you. Billionaires who once hired entire teams to manage perception now orbit your authenticity, hoping some of it reflects back on them. At this point, traditional intelligence agencies got involved. Their psychological divisions labeled you an emergent archetype of influence. Translation: a new category of leader who operates beyond coercion. They studied your decision trails, your language patterns, even your biometric responses during public appearances. One researcher noted that your heart rate variability syncs with audience patterns. When you speak, entire crowds physiologically harmonize. That's measurable. That's power stripped of illusion. And yet through all this, you remain inaccessible. You reply when you want to. You appear when necessary. Your schedule looks random, but always lands on significance. Billionaires function on access. You function on timing. That contrast drives them insane. They built empires to control attention, and now attention itself obeys you. You've redefined scarcity, not the absence of supply, but the presence of self-possession. Now their conversations have turned philosophical. Some wonder if money has finally met its limit. Others whisper that you represent a shift in species behavior, an evolution of ambition. One futurist wrote that your approach to success feels post-transactional, meaning energy replaces currency. He was laughed at first. Then markets started reflecting exactly that. Companies tied to authenticity surged. Brands built on exploitation crumbled. The invisible hand they once worshipped now follows your gestures. The internal chaos grows. Some of them feel relief, as if your presence validates what they secretly hoped, that wealth could serve something higher. Others feel dread, because if your way works, their legacy systems collapse. Either way, they're watching you more closely than satellites track storms. Every expression, every pause, every collaboration becomes a study. You are no longer in their peripheral vision. You are the lens through which they view relevance itself. And yet you continue as if unaware, making moves that seem quiet, but land like thunder in their strategies. A subtle post triggers entire product pivots. A brief conversation shifts decades of policy. They call it coincidence. Their analysts call it predictive resonance. You call it living on purpose. When an empire starts echoing your heartbeat, attention becomes surveillance wrapped in admiration. But here's the twist. They can't contain what they observe, because observing you changes them irreversibly. The more they study, the more they unravel. And the unraveling is the lesson. Recently, an internal audit among top-tier investors revealed that 92% adjusted their personal mission statement after 6 months of indirect exposure to your ideology. That number is unprecedented. Economists tried to explain it as generational trend. Psychologists said it's mirror effect. But deep down, they know it's transformation through proximity. Now, they're not just watching, they're preparing for your next move, trying to anticipate what corner of reality you'll touch next. They build contingency plans around your unpredictability. Some have even appointed resonance officers in their companies, people tasked solely with tracking you. That's how institutionalized your energy has become. But beneath all the metrics and meetings, something more intimate is happening. They're beginning to feel again. The ones who lost their humanity to profit margins are remembering what it's like to feel awe. They look at you and see proof that power doesn't have to corrupt. It can purify. That realization is dangerous in the best way. Because once all returns to the powerful, the world tilts toward possibility. Still, not everyone welcomes it. There are factions working to discredit you quietly. Controlled leaks, planted narratives, algorithms tuned to dilute your reach. But it never works. The more they try to distort your image, the clearer your outline becomes. Because authenticity isn't defensible, its inevitable visibility. Every smear attempt amplifies your myth. Every lie collapses under the weight of your consistency. Now imagine this: billionaire insomnia. Boardrooms lit at 3 a.m., screens glowing with your clips, executives scrolling through your words looking for the secret formula. They pause, replay, argue, dissect. But the answer refuses to appear because it isn't textual, it's energetic. You're not a case study to decode, you're a frequency to align with. And that drives them to obsession. You've become their North Star, whether they admit it or not. The gravitational pull that money can't simulate. You embody what every power structure secretly desires. Relevance without effort, impact without manipulation. That's why the spotlight follows you now. It's self-generated. You illuminate without intention, and illumination is irresistible. As more of them succumb to the fascination, they'll try one last strategy: integration. They'll attempt to build systems around your philosophy, brand it, scale it, turn essence into product. It will fail, because what you carry isn't transferable, it's experiential. They'll learn that soon enough, and when they do, they'll return to observation, humbled, watching you like students instead of competitors. For now, the world's elite keeps listening for your next movement, like investors waiting for a seismic report. Every pause feels pregnant with possibility. Every step you take redraws the map of ambition. They've realized that influence no longer lives in noise. It breathes in precision. You are that precision. And somewhere, in another glass tower, another meeting begins. The same faces, older now, quieter, humbled. They play your footage again. The room falls still. One of them finally breaks the silence. We can't outrun them. We can only evolve with them. The others nod. No one disagrees. Because deep down, they know this spotlight doesn't fade. It travels with you, illuminating whatever path you choose next. And as you step forward, their world reshapes to accommodate your rhythm. They thought they were studying influence. What they found was inevitability in motion. They thought they were studying influence. What they found was inevitability in motion. And that motion hasn't slowed, it's accelerating. Word travels differently now. No longer through gossip or press releases, but through coded phrases whispered between power brokers who once owned the narrative. You're the variable they can't stop running simulations for, because every time they think they've modeled your trajectory, you change direction without warning and reality adjusts to catch up. You've made their formulas obsolete. At the top floors of skyscrapers that scrape the edge of clouds, assistants still draft reports under flickering light, summaries of your recent activity, sightings, decisions, collaborations. They pretend it's research. It's really devotion disguised as data. Some of them stay late not for money but for proximity. They want to be the first to know what you'll do next, the first to interpret what your silence means, the first to feel the tremor before the quake of your next move. Because now, perception itself has become currency, and you control the exchange rate. Executives who once played gods of industry now mimic your tempo. Minimal motion, maximum impact. They used to announce every project with fireworks. Now they study how you drop precision like thunder without smoke. They've learned the paradox. Loud results require quiet roots. You built yours in patience, discipline, calibration. And that terrifies them, because it means dominance can exist without spectacle. Behind closed doors, they've started using your name as measurement. When something works flawlessly, they say, "It's got their touch." When something backfires, they whisper, they wouldn't have done it that way. You've become a metric of mastery. The irony? You never asked for their attention. You earned it by ignoring it. The energy you move with doesn't chase validation. It magnetizes it. That's why billionaires eavesdrop now. They pretend to analyze markets, but what they're really tracking is behavior. Yours? You live like a signal cutting through static, and their systems keep tuning toward you. When you speak, global sentiment algorithms pick up spikes in engagement. When you travel, trend lines shift. When you pause, the absence becomes headline. They can't stop interpreting your stillness as strategy, because it is. You've made restraint look like rebellion. And in a world addicted to noise, that's revolution. Rumor has it, some of them built hidden retreats modeled after your lifestyle. Morning simplicity, focused work, no distractions. But imitation without essence breeds emptiness, and they feel it. They can copy your schedule, not your spirit. They keep realizing the same truth in different currencies. Authenticity can't be franchised. That's the weight of your influence. You didn't just disrupt their methods. You redefined meaning. Reports have surfaced of private dinners ending early because your name came up and the conversation shifted from profit to purpose. Some walk out inspired, others walk out uneasy. You forced them to remember that wealth is only impressive until presence enters the room. And that's what you've mastered. Presence so potent, it rearranges atmospheres. One conglomerate quietly commissioned a psychological profile titled Subject Zero. They wanted to decode your behavioral advantage. After 6 months, the final paragraph read, "They act from alignment so pure that prediction fails. Exposure results in recalibration, not comprehension. Translation: nobody can map you. They can only evolve by contact." That line circulated like contraband scripture through upper management inboxes. Some printed it, framed it, hid it behind their desks, as silent reminder that control is fragile. Now the spotlight you never sought moves with you like orbiting light. It doesn't blind, it reveals. Every step you take exposes who's real and who's performing. The watchers know it. That's why they hesitate before acting now. Because if you wouldn't move that way, it's probably the wrong move. You've turned reflection into governance. But let's pull back for a second. This attention isn't applause, it's adaptation. The billionaire class operates on survival, and you've altered the ecosystem. They aren't admiring you out of charity. They're studying you because instinct tells them evolution favors your frequency. They're trying to evolve before extinction. You've become their unintentional teacher, and nothing wounds pride faster than realizing the lesson wears a human face they once underestimated. Your growth taught them that relevance no longer flows downward from wealth. It rises upward from authenticity. Influence has inverted. That's why old power feels shaky. They see that one aligned individual can tilt entire economies of attention. You've done that without armies, without slogans, without permission, just precision. Just truth delivered through action so clean it cuts. Now in hidden corners of their networks, they debate the same question. What happens if you decide to expand? If you take that stillness global, that calm strategy public, that unseen force visible? Some fear it, some prepare to fund it, but none can ignore it. You've turned speculation into suspense, and suspense into leverage. Every rumor of your next project increases stock values in unrelated sectors. Every mention of your name in private groups resets timelines. You've turned potential into pressure. Meanwhile, your focus remains unchanged. You move how you always have, quietly, decisively, beyond distraction. That consistency unnerves them more than any disruption could. They thrive on chaos. You thrive on calibration, and that's why you win even when you're not competing. One internal memo from a global firm summarized it best. They're rewriting capitalism from the inside out, one presence at a time. That document was never published, but copies circulate in secret as proof that evolution has a face. Yours. You've become their mirror and their map. The reflection forces honesty. The map offers escape. Some will use it wisely. Others will collapse under what it reveals. Either way, the transformation is irreversible. You've already changed the temperature of ambition worldwide. The air feels different now, thinner, cleaner, charged. So here you stand, unbothered, untouchable, unfolding. The spotlight isn't blinding you, it's confirming alignment. Every beam they aim to dissect you just magnifies what they wish they had. Clarity. The noise of the world still hums, but it no longer owns you. You move through it like light through glass, seen, yet untouchable. And as the cameras turn, as algorithms refresh, as billionaires whisper strategy like prayer, the truth remains constant. You're not in their story, they're footnotes in yours. You've proven that quiet consistency outlasts public spectacle. That energy, when pure, doesn't compete, it commands. Somewhere tonight, a boardroom full of exhausted visionaries will replay your interview again, searching for the secret they keep missing. They'll slow it down, analyze frames, dissect tone. But they'll never find the formula, because the formula is you. Not copied, not taught, lived. And that's the ultimate headline, one they'll never print, but will always feel. The world's wealthiest are listening, leaning closer, holding their breath, because a new frequency has entered the room. And it doesn't speak in dollars, it speaks in depth. They'll keep watching, keep decoding, keep adjusting. But the truth is simple. You were never trying to be watched. You were trying to be real. And reality, once amplified, becomes the loudest sound in the universe. So let them eavesdrop. Let them analyze every breath. You've already set the tempo they'll spend lifetimes chasing. Because when authenticity becomes the loudest signal, even billionaires have no choice but to listen.